Welcome to the Bold Money Revolution podcast. This is your source for straight talking, no fluff, business and high performance conversations that add real depth and value to the way bold leaders live, work, and thrive. I'm your host, Tara Newman. I'm here to show you how to optimize your performance as a leader so that you can grow a business that is profit-rich, efficient, and allows you to generate real, tangible wealth for yourself and others. We are here to help you lead with your values, to perform without overwhelm and burnout, and to do your most important work in the world. Hey, bold leaders. Welcome to the Bold Money Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Tara Newman. It is January. I'm still having that fresh start feeling. I really love January for that new energy, that fresh start energy, and I'm using that to guide me in the first couple of episodes that we have on this podcast coming out in January and even into the beginning of February. And the way I'm setting these podcast episodes up very intentionally are to be like these little chats that we're having about how you can really improve your performance this year. We're not really getting into a ton of strategy in these episodes. This is more focused on energy. This is focused on mindset. This is focused on getting your head on straight so you can really have a strong start to the year. And I want you to feel refreshed after you hear these episodes. I want you to maybe take in a new perspective on some of the things that we're talking about. And I want you to remember that these episodes are here for you anytime you need to kind of have a restart. Anytime you just need some performance restarting, I want you to come back here. So today's episode is all about goals, and we're going to talk about them a little differently. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today because I usually avoid talking about goal setting. As someone who has studied goal setting pretty extensively, I get frustrated and ranty listening to how other people teach goal setting. But I love goals, and I think I've gotten to the point in my own personal growth that I can add some serious value to this conversation without being judgy or snarky or ranty or even too academic. And, I love goals, and I tend to work with people who want to achieve really big things, but they're also goal avoidant, and they're not who you think they are. These are high achievers who are resistant to goals. And I think it has to do with the way they've set goals in the past and maybe some disappointments that they've suffered in the past. And really, if that's you, this is going to be a reframe on that conversation for you. So I hope that you truly enjoy this and find it valuable. We all have a lot of ish when it comes to setting our goals. In the past, I've sidestepped and baby stepped and given alternative ways to set goals for people to try and get them into a goal setting routine. But really what's needed is an honest conversation and a way for you to think about this differently. So in this episode, we're going to talk about why you shouldn't set SMART goals, the benefit of having big goals, and sometimes why big, hairy, audacious goals, those BHAGS, might not work for you, and really how to find the right goal for you. So if you are a person that has struggled with setting goals, I'm going to give you a new framework for you to dig into. Some of what I'm presenting to you here today, like the new framework I'm going to give you, it's not mine. It's from a book called Performance Coaching, a complete guide to best practice coaching and training by Carol Wilson. And I want to be really clear because I have my own frameworks that we use. This is not one of them. So this comes from Carol Wilson. So let's start talking about the problem with SMART goals. We all know this model. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-framed. Simply put, you are not actually the right audience for this type of goal framework. The SMART goal framework wasn't designed for you. I'm going to give you a moment to gasp in shock and awe. Okay, you're done? Cool. The SMART framework was designed for managers to use with employees in an organization. meaning this is a goal set by somebody else and given to you with no agency, with you having no agency over the goal itself. That's why they were designed to be achievable and realistic. That was a cue to remind managers to be realistic about the goals they are setting to ensure that they are achievable. If a manager sets a goal too unrealistic, it becomes demotivating for an employee. Now, since you're not an employee, and even if you were, I recommend that all humans have agency over their goals, this is not the framework for you. So if you're a business owner with a team of employees, please also consider giving your team agency over their goals and not using this type of framework. If you would kindly do me a favor, toss out the SMART goal framework, like scrub it from your brain, and instead opt to use a different model called the exact model. And as a reminder, this is not our model. This is a model created by Carol Wilson. An exact stands for explicit. Explicit meaning clear, concise, singular, and focus. X is for exciting, positively framed and inspiring. That's what exciting means. And if you've ever worked with me in any capacity, you know I'm all about things being exciting. A stands for accessible. That means measurable. We need to be able to measure our goals. We need to be able to measure things so we know how to improve them. The C in exact stands for challenging. It stretches you. I often say a goal is less about the actual goal and more about who you become along the way. And the T does stand for time framed. Like in a SMART goal, you have a time frame, somewhere between 3 to 6 months to complete this goal. You can see the two big changes are the goal should be exciting or inspiring and challenging. That is a completely different vibe than the SMART goal, which wants you to be realistic and achievable. This should be something that stretches or changes you along the way. The goal you pick should be something that stretches or changes you along the way. When we look at goals in this light, it's clear from the outset that this isn't going to be a comfortable experience, but it's also intended to inspire you to act. And I think by setting it up in this framework, from this lens, from this perspective, knowing from the outset that it is going to challenge you, not be comfortable, and inspire you to act, we have a different setup here. Many of the achievers I work with get tripped up with goal setting, and some get taken out before they even begin. As soon as they set the goal, fear starts popping up. What if I never reach my potential? What if I fall flat on my face and embarrass myself? What if I miss the goal and I'm disappointed? What if none of this is the actual point? What if the purpose of having a goal was to inspire yourself and others, to grow and develop a skill, to become who you were meant to become? What if setting goals and all you learn along the way to achieving them is the accelerant for you realizing the vision you have for yourself and your life? Goals are not as purposeful or impactful if they aren't tied to your vision. I believe we hold our vision firmly and our goals loosely. I also believe that you don't have to personally set goals if you don't want to. And maybe something is happening in your life that doesn't allow for goal setting, like new motherhood or a life crisis. But in your business, you do need goals. Your business needs goals. You personally don't need goals. Your business needs goals. So for this conversation, I'm talking about it from a business perspective, and I really want you to hear that. From your business's performance perspective, you need goals because goals are an accelerant. And I'm going to give you an example. For 10 years, I wanted to leave my corporate job. I had a vision of me owning my own business, but I never really set clear goals on a personal level to achieve that. Personally, I had other things going on at the time. I had young kids, we had just moved into a house, and we had some personal things going on. So I didn't really feel like it was the right time for me to take on goals. Then in March of 2015, I set a goal to leave my corporate job by March 2016. I was going to give myself a year to finally realize this 10-year vision. And my last day of work was August 22nd, 2015, less than a year after setting the goal. Having the goal accelerated my vision. It made it happen faster. And I really want everybody to understand the scaffolding of that we have a vision and then we layer in goals because that's the accelerant. And then with the goals, we have actions, and the actions make things happen even faster. And when they're all in alignment like that, that's how you speed up a process. Now, there have been stretches of time where I didn't feel like doing that. My focus was less discerning. And guess what? It took longer to hit those goals, right? And you know what? I was probably setting the wrong goals. If your goals were exciting, inspiring, and challenging, wouldn't you be more motivated to get after them? Now, here's the caveat. Big, inspiring, challenging goals. This is the caveat to big, inspiring, challenging goals. And it has to do with the zones of learning. You have the comfort zone. This is where SMART goals are designed to keep you in your comfort zone. Say goodbye to SMART goals. Then you have your learning zone. This is where you want those exact goals to fall. But you have to make sure when setting goals that inspire and challenge you that you don't tip into the third zone known as the panic zone. Because panic is going to shut you down. I remember in 2014 when I first started my business and everyone was banging on about the $100,000 a year and 10K months. And I set my eyes on that 10K month goal and wanted it so badly. And it took me about 8 months to get there. And what I learned along the way is that I needed to baby step my way there. I had never personally earned money in my own business before. We've had businesses before and I was involved in them, but they were handled by either my husband or my father. And so I personally wasn't responsible for revenue in those situations. So this was the first time that I had real revenue responsibility. And what I learned along the way is that I needed to be the person who made $2,000 a month before I could make $4,000 per month, before I could make $8,000 per month, and so on and so on. I just didn't have the self-belief that I could achieve something like 10K months because I had never done it before. So for me, I had to collect evidence of it being possible along the way. I had to breathe and recalibrate my nervous system to receive this kind of money. So find a goal that challenges you to develop new beliefs about yourself, but not so challenging that it throws you into panic and shuts you down. I know you might be wondering how you find that threshold, the one where you are deep in your learning zone, but not in your panic zone. You have to experiment. Try on goals like you would try on clothing. That's why I'm always engaged in planning activities, not because I'm obsessed with planning, but because I'm giving myself the space to experiment and explore what goals feel good to me and what goals don't. Which ones am I going to commit to and go all in on, and which ones am I going to put on my no thank you list? It takes intuition to find your edge. And I really want you to hear that, so I'm going to say that again. It takes intuition to find your edge. Thanks for taking the time to listen today. I hope that this has been helpful. Please know, I believe that small business owners have the power to change the world. And boy, does the world need it right now. Take good care. The toughest part of setting a revenue goal is knowing where to start. It's normal to be confused about this goal. After all, how many of us actually got a finance degree at the same time as starting a business? Probably none of us, like a big goose egg. And if you weren't taught how to do something, and then you combine that with the internet marketing world telling you what you should want for your business, well, it can start to feel like a game of Monopoly. Instead of having a revenue goal, you operate on luck, a roll of the dice, and simply hope you bring in enough, which would explain why 83% of small business owners are living paycheck to paycheck. It would also explain why business owners feel like they are working way too hard for what they actually take home. This free calculator is simple and easy to use. Here's what Alexis had to say about it. It was helpful to compare my current reality and needs with my dream needs and to see concrete numbers laid out in front of me. Seeing the numbers in front of me made my goal seem more attainable and not so overwhelming. I want you to head on over to theboldleadership.com/revenue and grab your revenue calculator today. If you found this podcast valuable, help us develop more bold leaders in the world by sharing this episode with your friends, colleagues, and other bold leaders. Also, if you haven't done so already, please leave a review. I consider reviews like podcast currency, and it's the one thing you can do to help us out here at the Bold Leadership Revolution HQ. We would be so grateful for it. Special thanks goes to Stacey Harris from Uncommonly More, who is the producer and editor of this podcast. Go check them out for all your digital marketing and content creation needs. Be sure to tune into the next episode to help you embrace your ambition and leave the grind behind.